Gods and goddesses, welcome to the Smite God reveal for Mulan, the Ascendant Warrior.
When the call to war came, I answered. A simple choice, for it was no choice at all. For love's sake, I took their place. For duty's sake, I fought. I took up bow and blade, as my father taught me. On behalf of my country, I fought. Now I must take up the sword once more. And for the sake of those I cherish, I must become something more.
The he has feet, go hop and skip. The she has eyes, are muddled and fuddled. Two hairs running side by side, close to the ground. How can they tell if I'm he or she? Indeed, in the heat of battle and trying to stay alive, how can we tell? Hi, I'm Joey. Welcome back to another episode of Not Just Games. Today we are going to look into one of ancient China's lethal women, the fierce and filial magnolia, Hua Mulan. While ancient Rome depended on gladiators to spice up their hedonistic routine, ancient China relied on heroic figures to boost morale during turbulent times. While Maximus from the 2000s movie Gladiator is a mix of different renowned figures, Hua Mulan is a lady with different family names that first came into existence in the poem, The Ballad of Mulan. This poem can be traced back to the Northern Wei dynasty in the 6th century. It is a 62-line poem, succinctly recounting Mulan's heroic journey to serve her country, her family, and protecting everything that she holds dear. As the legend goes, it was a time when China was divided between the north and the south. Nomadic tribes are getting bolder, raiding the kingdom more often than before. They were different from the central plain Huns. Some are called the Rouran, while most went undocumented. Mulan was weaving at her loom when the royal decree arrived for each family to volunteer a son, for each family to volunteer a male, to aid the emperor's campaign against the escalating nomadic tribe threats. Understandably, Mulan was devastated, for the only male in her family is her father, for the only son in her family is a much too young brother, while her father is getting old and paying the consequences of being a military man in his youth. She made a swift decision and decided to go in her father's stead. Mulan purchased a horse in the East Market, a saddle in the West Market, a bridle for her horse in the South Market, and a whip in the North Market. She set off for the journey at dawn, leaving behind her father, mother, and her siblings, dressed like a man, answering the call of her country, and for her great love to her father. Mulan camped at the Yellow River, just the right distance to prevent from hearing her family's call, and to stay true to her decision. For 12 long years, Mulan traveled over 10,000 miles, surviving battles after battles, generating awe and respect from her comrades, climbing the ranks to become a general, and leaving the enemy trembling in fear upon hearing her name. Mulan is well versed in the art of war. Her father has trained her to be a competent warrior. Her sword is deadly, her spears reach formidable, her bow and arrow skilled unrivaled. The emperor bestowed his army lavish gifts and lofty posts after the war ended. Mulan did not want anything else but a swift horse to take her home. Warmed by her humility, the emperor conceded to Mulan's wish. Her family welcomed her joyously, and Mulan once again donned her womanly attire, much to her visiting army comrade's surprise. Well, this is the original rendition of the ballad that we are all familiar with. There are countless others, and there's one in particular that added more detail in the retelling, making it livelier with plot twists and somber ending. In Chu Ren Huo's 1695 Sui Tang romance, Mulan lives in the era of the Western Turkic Khaganate. The ruling Khan agrees to form an alliance with the Tang dynasty in a military campaign. But like the original ballad, the Khan conscripted a male from each family. In contrast, this time around, Mulan took her father's place with her family's consent. Sometime during the war, Mulan was captured by the Xia king. The lady luck on her side, the king's warrior daughter is a compassionate person. Upon learning Mulan's identity, Xianyang was so happy that she became Mulan's sworn sister. Xianyang's father was scheduled for an execution by the Tang Emperor for colluding with the dynasty's enemy. With knives in their mouths, Mulan and Xianyang begged the emperor to exchange themselves for the doomed king. Moved by their filiality, Emperor Taizong of Tang granted them reprieve. Emperor Taizong's mother even bestowed some money for Mulan's parents and Xianyang's wedding expenses. Mulan journeyed home to her family. To her dismay, her father was long dead, her mother remarried. To make matters worse, the Khan had decreed for her to be his concubine. Refusing to bow down to this development, Mulan visited her father's grave and took her own life there. Pretty uplifting legend to stoke your patriotic sense and family filiality, no? But what if Mulan is real? Would the story be less valorous or less tragic? There has always been a grain of truth behind every legend and folklore. Scholars have identified 19 ancient warrior women of China, with military record of women participation as early as Sun Tzu's time, back in 496 to 453 BC. Mulan was famously said to live in the Northern Wei dynasty, which was well within the time frame. The dynasty was dubbed as an era of stormy politics and great change in social and cultural scape. It practices the Fu Bing military system, where 1,000 farmer soldiers under each headquarter can be instantly mobilized in time of military need, hence unwittingly showing the government as having a somewhat working civilian record system too. Then how does Mulan ever get conscripted instead of her father? Surely the government knew of her aging father and her deteriorating condition. Bribes. It's all in the bribes. Did you know that Northern Wei officers were not given salaries until later in the dynasty? They get everything they need to sustain their livelihood from civilians. Nobody would bat an eye at bribery. Mulan spent 12 long years in military service. The military, always on the go, with no separate sleeping arrangements and washrooms. A different story though if she really did become a general, where generals have their own sleeping quarters with Kang, bad stuff, to chase the cold away. Either she suffers extreme hormonal deviation, like her modern military sister counterpart due to strenuous military physical demands, while modern female soldier has the help of modern medicine to leverage their natural disposition. Or Mulan stoutly braces herself through it all, more naturally, more sinisterly, with more than just money. Is it possible for Mulan to be a general? The first recorded Chinese female general was Fu Hao, who died in 1200 BC and was one of Shang dynasty King Wu Ding's wives. Mulan's time way preceded General Fu Hao's, and her birth status as a commoner might not secure her a higher rank in the military, unless she led a peasant uprising, which was never mentioned in any rendition of her tales. There's a slight chance of Mulan being a real historical figure though. Currently, 5 provinces in China claim to be the hometown of Mulan: Henan Yucheng, Hubei Huangpi, Shanxi Yan'an, Anhui Bozhou, Hebei Wanxian. Each of them claiming evidence like written records, inscription of steles, shrines and temples, and tombs and gravestones. Huangpi and Yucheng were included in the list of national ICH back in 2008. Yan'an followed suit in 2010. Nothing is certain, but it would certainly be interesting to visit these locations and catch a glimpse of Mulan. There you have it folks, a brief discourse on our brave heroine Hua Mulan. Be it the happy or the tragic version, Mulan's story reminds us to stay true to ourselves in the face of adversity, to love your parents and to do your best to serve them, and to take swift actions when needed too, while staying loyal to your country, your family, and your beliefs. So, until next time, stay safe and see you soon.
淡忘黄河流水，明渐渐，淡自黄河去，木至黑山头。万里浮生机，关山突若飞，说骑穿金柝，汉光交替翼，将军百战死，壮士十年归。万里浮生机，关山突若飞，说骑穿金柝，汉光交替翼，将军百战死，壮士十年归。 虎长兄，原为是鞍马，从此体也正，都是卖爱骏马，西是卖鞍鞯，南是卖北头，北是卖长鞭，朝辞爷娘去，暮宿黄河边。不忘爷娘还女上，登闻黄河流水，命渐渐，但辞黄河去，暮至黑山头。万里芙蓉鸡，关山度若飞，说骑穿金柝汉关照天地，将军百战死，壮士10年归。万里芙蓉鸡，关山度若飞，说骑穿金柝汉关照天地，将军百战死，壮士10年归。10年归，归来见天子，天子作明堂，策许是而转。山寺百千强可汗，闻所云木兰不用尚书郎。愿解弥陀千